Hey, what is up, everybody? This is your boy AJTRIP, and welcome to Dash to Shoot, a weekly episodic show where I talk about what's going on in the world of professional wrestling. But this week, it is predictions. We're predicting not only NXT Stand and Deliver, but also WrestleMania Saturday and WrestleMania Sunday. All predictions will be done shown here. All will be accounted for as we add on to what I have done this beginning prior season. So we're going to go ahead and get to predicting. So on the year, I am 17-3, which is really good. Day one, the Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber. So now we come to these three big events that's happening this weekend. So let's get right to it. NXT Stand and Deliver. We're going to do that first, and then WrestleMania Saturday and WrestleMania Sunday. First match, LA Knight versus Gunther. This came out a couple weeks ago when after LA Knight had a shot at the NXT Championship with Dolph Ziggler. He lost that match. Gunther then came out the next week and said, "You don't deserve it," and LA Knight took him out. So then we have LA Knight versus Gunther. And I think this is very easy. It's going to be Gunther. Gunther wins. Gunther should win. I don't think Gunther only lost one time, and that's to Ilya Dragunov. So Gunther will beat LA Knight. The next match is Tommaso Ciampa versus Tony D'Angelo. Tony D'Angelo has been talking about, for weeks about taking out the Don of NXT, and he then chose Tommaso Ciampa as the Don. Tommaso Ciampa was basically giving a goodbye promo, it seemed like. I don't think he's leaving NXT, at least in the sense of being released or anything like that. I believe he's going to the main roster. He's appeared on Raw several times. So I think this match, I would guess that this is going to be, what you do on your way out. You do the time-honored tradition of putting someone over on your way out. So I would think that this is going to be Tony D'Angelo beating Tommaso Ciampa. And then Tommaso Ciampa gets his goodbye from the crowd of the NXT faithful. Next, for NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, Toxic Attraction is taking on Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai. Just thrown together at the last second this past week on NXT, as apparently Toxic Attraction took out Wendy Chu, Dakota Kai's tag partner in the Dusty Classic, and Dakota Kai came out to get revenge. Got jumped by Toxic Attraction. Raquel Gonzalez came out to make the save. Very interesting here how they did this. I don't think it's anything like this. I think both Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai are going up to the main roster. At least they should. So I think here Toxic Attraction retains the Women's Tag Team Championship. For the Men's NXT Tag Team Championship, Imperium is taking on the Creed Brothers versus MSK. The Creed Brothers were jumped a couple weeks ago in the backstage, leading to a match between MSK and Imperium for the tag championships. And the Creed Brothers then came out and took out both teams, causing this to be a three-way for the tag championship. Again, I think that Imperium is going to make its way to the main roster along with Gunther. But I'm now starting to wonder, because they've talked about Gunther, has talked about the NXT Championship, and I wonder if it's not going to be after WrestleMania, if it's going to be somewhere later. So that does kind of harp on what I think could be a victory for the Creed Brothers. But I also think that they are kind of very young and they're very green. And even though a lot of these people are young and and are green, I think you still need, it all depends on what's going to happen forward. And I don't think anymore Imperium is going to go up to the main roster. So I'm going to say the winners of the tag team titles are going to be Imperium. I think we're also going to find out MSK were the ones to jump the Creed Brothers. They will turn heel, and we're going to have the Creed Brothers MSK feud shortly thereafter. But Imperium will win the match and retain the NXT Tag Team. The North American ladder match The champion Carmelo Hayes defends against Santos Escobar, Grayson Waller, Solo Sikoa, and Cameron Grimes. Carmelo Hayes calls himself the A champion. He puts on performances after performances. But so does these other guys as well. Solo Sikoa, who is basically the third Uso, is a he's young, but I think he's got it going on. Cameron Grimes, you know what he can do. Santos Escobar is a good performer as well, and Grayson Waller showed what he can do some stuff as well against the last man standing match against LA Knight. Carmelo Hayes has held the championship for a while now, and he's in champion. He is another person that I think could be the front of Braun Breaker. So therefore, I think they're going to put the title on Grayson Waller. He is the one that is right now talking about going viral, and I think he is a player to be determined with. So yeah, I think Carmelo Hayes is going to move up into the main event picture and be one of the contenders against Braun Breaker. But I think Grayson Waller is right now the man. So I think I'll see him in the North American title match, winning the ladder match. So my pick is Grayson Waller. For the NXT Women's title, Mandy Rose defends against Cora Jade, Io Shirai, and Kaylee Ray in a fatal four-way match. Something very interesting happened here because Io Shirai and Kaylee Ray, they won the Women's Dusty Classic. And instead of taking the title match against Toxic Attraction, the other two members of Toxic Attraction, JC Jane and Gigi Dolan, they decided to cash in their title shot on the women's title, making it a fatal four-way. Now, I'm not sure why this was done this way. Maybe they thought, Cora Jade was too young to, to make a match with Mandy Rose be good. Although Mandy Rose has improved incredibly well for years now. It started before when she was on the main roster. She had improved greatly. So I don't know if that was it. But for what they seemingly have done here, it's you would think that it would be Cora Jade. You would think that they would that this is the spot that they're going to go. They're not making it a four-way. It makes you wonder now if Mandy Rose stays champion and they do something else with her. I think they still want Cora Jade to be the champion, but maybe they just decided that it just wasn't ready, or maybe someone has an injury or whatever. I'm not sure. So this one, I don't tell you, this entire weekend is tough to predict. It just really it's tough to predict because you don't know which way. You think they're going to go one way, but they might go another way. So who never knows? But I'm going to go ahead and say that Cora Jade does win it, even though it's against my better thinking. I'm going to go ahead and say that Cora Jade wins and she becomes the new NXT Women's Champion, the youngest Women's Champion ever. So I want to pick Cora Jade. And finally, the main event, Dolph Ziggler versus Braun Breaker for the NXT title. It was kind of a shock to see Dolph Ziggler win that match, but I think they wanted to, on the grandest stage of them all, on WrestleMania weekend, they wanted to give Braun Breaker a big win. And I think they also wanted a, what could be a, 5-star classic. Because Braun Breaker, for as young as he is, he has been pretty damn good in the ring. And we know Dolph Ziggler can go, and you can go with the best of them. He can lead Braun in his match and just make everything, correct and make sure everything's, is good. And so I think he's the perfect person to be in there with Braun Breaker. I think I talked about there being, this being a hard card to predict throughout all WrestleMania. This is maybe one of the easy ones to predict. I think Braun Breaker obviously wins the NXT title, becoming a 2-time NXT champion. And I think he's going to have a long run as NXT champion. I think the next time he might get, the next time he loses that title, it's probably going to be parts to someone like a Carmelo Hayes or a Grayson Waller. So I think Braun Breaker wins without question. Now let's go to WrestleMania Night 1, which will be just a couple hours after NXT Stand and Deliver. So we're going to go from that into this. It's going to be incredible. So I'm going to go with what ESPN had for these ones, because they've been changing back and forth this past month. Once the Edge and AJ Styles was originally was on Saturday, then they moved it to Sunday, then they moved it back to Saturday. So who never knows what this is gonna happen. Only one day away. Things could still change. So, but we're gonna go ahead and let's say do what they had on ESPN for the card, night 1 and night 2. If things do change, it doesn't make a difference. My prediction's not going to change, and they're going to stay the way it is. So, for WrestleMania Saturday, let's start with the New Day. Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston taking on Sheamus and Ridge Holland with Butch. This is obviously payback for Big E. I expect Big E to be there and be out there. So it's going to be interesting to see what this goes down. King Woods got the victory over Ridge Holland last week on SmackDown. So I would suppose that you're going to see New Day get the victory here against Sheamus and Ridge Holland. There's nothing else for the fact that Big E could be there. I don't know. I could see Big E being out there doing his thing live, showing everybody that he's okay. Just an incredible person is Big E, man. It's wish him so much, but sometimes just horrible things happen to raise some good people, and he's one of them. And I just hope he can be able to have a life that is free of pain and suffering from this neck injury. Let alone him get in the ring again, because he doesn't have to get into the ring again, but he can always still be part of this business. If he can't wrestle again, he can be a bodyguard. He can do moves. He just can't take moves, or he just probably can't take a bump. He can probably take a punch and get punched off of the thing and go to and fall on the floor or something like that. But anyway, the winners I'm picking are New Day. Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. In a very interesting display of everything, Seth Rollins is taking on, to be announced, he's going to be a special man picked by Vince McMahon. They have talked about, for months that, Seth Rollins didn't have a way on WrestleMania. He didn't have a way to get to WrestleMania. He didn't have an opponent for WrestleMania. And finally, this past week on Monday, he went to Vince and Vince said, what do you mean? You're one of my top guys. Of course you can have a match for WrestleMania. I'll choose your opponent. So obviously, rumors are that this is going to be Cody Rhodes. And yes, that could be, although there was a rumor yesterday that he's maybe having second thoughts and backing out of the match. Then it's been announced that Shane McMahon is also going to come in for WrestleMania. So now there's some people think that this is Seth Rollins versus Shane McMahon, right? So this could be many things. This could be Seth Rollins versus Shane McMahon, and then after Seth Rollins quickly takes out Shane McMahon, Cody could come down and do that. It could be Seth Rollins versus Cody. It could also be Seth Rollins versus anybody else, right? And then come down to Cody. Or it actually really could be Seth Rollins versus Shane McMahon in an actual competitive match. And that could be devastating to some of the people who have probably bought tickets to the first show and first show only just because they wanted to see Cody Rhodes back in the WWE. So who knows what this is going to happen. I'm telling the fans right now, be ready. In that Seth Rollins match, be ready for anything. Okay? Be ready for anything. And take it, whatever it is, with a grain of salt. That being said, I'm going to say that I think it is Cody Rhodes. And I am going to pick TBA to win the match, whoever that is, and I'm going so if it's Shane, if it's Cody, if it's someone else, I'm picking the person selected by Mr. McMahon to win the match. Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin. Some people say this isn't a WrestleMania match, but the build has been one without question, injuring the throat of Drew McIntyre. And then having Drew McIntyre come back at the Royal Rumble, take out Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss. The battles he's had with Madcap Moss, beating him not only once, twice, but 3 times in the past 3 months, 3 or 4 months. It's insane. And they've been tuning up Happy Corbin as being undefeated for one reason and one reason only. So Drew McIntyre can beat him. I think that makes so much sense. Drew McIntyre beats Happy Corbin at WrestleMania. I think a match that could steal the show at WrestleMania, Edge taking on AJ Styles. I will agree with this. I heard somebody talk about this the other day. Did they really need to turn Edge heel for this? Couldn't it have just been a battle of respect? Edge wanted to show that he can still hang with the young guns. AJ Styles wanted to know that he is just as legendary as Edge. Did they really need the heel turn? Did they really need to do the concerto spot? And then this whole thing with AJ Styles fighting Seth Rollins for that match. It's a thing. So we'll have to wait and see. I think it would have been better if they kept both guys as a face and had to be the respect spot. That being said, this is one of those matches that I think it can go either way. It can go Edge, it can go AJ Styles. It really could. If they're really trying to do Edge in this new heel character, then I think they need to have Edge win. But you can't turn this heel with the new character and just have him lose. I don't think that's the case. So I think Edge beats AJ Styles here. And I think again, this could be one that steals the show, and this could be one that make it to in 3 years when I redo the top 10 matches list again. I think this is one that could definitely make that list. So I'm gonna say Edge wins against AJ Styles. Dominic and Rey Mysterio taking on The Miz and Logan Paul. Last year, The Miz was in a celebrity tag match against Bad Bunny, losing. This year, he has a celebrity tag partner in Logan Paul. Again, some people made some great points the other day, and it's the boys from Wrestle Talk. I guess I'll give them credit. But they made some good points that's in their predictions video on Wednesday, and they talked about that celebrities don't really lose these matches. You go all the way back in the time, with Hogan and Mr. T, all the way through in any celebrity match. Lawrence Taylor beat Bam Bam Bigelow. Snooki, won their match. Mia Menounos. I can talk. I believe she won in her celebrity match. So I think a lot of these people, they matches they won. Bad Bunny won last year at WrestleMania. So, but Logan Paul is now on the heel side. So does Logan Paul win? Do they beat the Mysterios? And maybe that right there causes the friction between Dominic and Rey. I don't know. It's such a hard thing. But I'm just going to say that, and obviously what else could happen is also The Miz could lose and then Logan Paul could turn on The Miz. Although I think I would find that stupid because I don't know why you would. Logan Paul is not a heel. Logan Paul, Jake Paul, they are not baby faces in any form of fashion. They are heels. So I don't know why you would keep turn Logan Paul, have him be a baby face. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to say The Miz and Logan Paul defeat the Mysterios. For the SmackDown Tag Team Championship, the Usos are taking on Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs. Now, there are many people who believe that this is Shinsuke and Rick Boogs' time. They have been talking about the Usos being the longest reigning SmackDown champions of all time. And just like what they've been talking about Happy Corbin being undefeated since he became Happy Corbin, for that for Drew McIntyre and this, they're thinking this the same thing. They're saying this about the Usos, but Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs can win. But that being said, I don't know. I think the story continues to be the fact that the bloodline runs cold, and the bloodline stays time. I don't think you just put the titles on Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs just to do so. I think the team that beats the Usos has to be a team. They either have to be like in some type of multi tag team match where the Usos don't get pinned, or it has to be a team that they build up. And right now they have not been building up any teams on either Raw or SmackDown. So for me, I'm going to choose the Usos to win here. The Usos are going to retain the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. Why? Because we the ones. That's why. And again, I must give the guys from Wrestle Talk some credit, because they had a good theory about this match about to predict. Raw Championship match between Raw Women's Championship match between Becky Lynch and Charlotte and not Charlotte Flair and Bianca Belair. Excuse me, because with what happened down on Monday with Bianca Belair almost having her hair cut, and then Becky Lynch having her hair cut. Could this be that Becky Lynch retains on WrestleMania, leading to WrestleMania Backlash, a hair versus hair match, and then Becky Lynch shaves bald? Now, I'm not sure why would happen. There was some clip up there that she went to the thing, and maybe she just wanted a change of she wanted to change. She wanted to look different. Becky, maybe she is gonna take time off and go do a movie or something like that. That's why she needed a haircut for the movie. I don't know. But boy, it does seem like that. You wouldn't have Becky Lynch get her hair cut if that was not going to lead to some type of hair versus hair match. And I guess you can still do the hair versus hair match and have Bianca Belair win. But who knows? But I think the thing here is that I just think this is the way it goes. We had Becky Lynch. She's been the champion since SummerSlam. First the SmackDown champion, then the Raw champion. So I think this goes the way it goes, and I think Bianca Belair wins here, and she becomes the new Raw Women's Champion. And finally, what should be and hopefully will be the main event of WrestleMania Saturday, and not the KO show with Kevin Owens and Steve Austin. The Wire talk show should be, it goes on second to last, fine. You risk losing. If people want to leave after that, fine, let them go. They're going to miss out on what I think could be a great match. Although, immediately so, I don't think the promo off has been very good, because Ronda Rousey has just not cared about the promo. She really hasn't. She hasn't gotten involved in it. She hasn't gotten like her voice in it. She hasn't done anything with it, which is, we knew that she was adequate at best at doing promos. But at least there were times when she showed fire. She talked about Brie Bella and Nikki Bella, before the Evolution pay-per-view. She had some, she gave some promos, and she had some other promos. When leading up to WrestleMania, she did some great promos on Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch. When she said F the man and boo the woo and I'm that bitch. That one. When she stood tall that Raw on Monday night on Monday Night Raw after beating up Flair and Rousey. The promos haven't been adequate, but the other stuff have been great. The fact that Ronda Rousey made Charlotte Flair tap out with an ankle lock, and then the fact that Charlotte Flair put Ronda Rousey through a bomb, through a table with a power bomb, was incredible. I love the way this is going. So, and again, I think this is obviously Ronda Rousey. I think she wins the title at WrestleMania. I think she holds it. I think she holds it for a long time. I think what could happen is I think that someone, maybe Charlotte Flair, wins the Money in the Bank, and I think they were cashing in on Ronda Rousey. You know, you could maybe even have Becky Lynch win Money in the Bank, and she cashes in on Ronda Rousey, leading to the WrestleMania match for next year, being Ronda versus Becky. But I think the winner for the SmackDown Women's Championship, which again, which should be the main event, what goes on last, is Ronda Rousey. Now, let's go to WrestleMania Sunday. A match made this past Monday on Raw. The Almighty Bobby Lashley takes on the big giant Omos. I think some people are thinking here that Bobby Lashley is here. He's going to be here to take on Omos. And he's going to beat Omos. But again, I think Sean Ross Sapp has been saying that the thing he doesn't see it in Omos, but I think one of the things people it's this thing about actually wrestling and everything like that I think people don't get, and that's something like that. But I'm not going to go there. Maybe I'll talk about it for a topic one time. But I don't think that's that they're just going to stop with Omos. I don't think so. I think Omos is going to continue on, and they're not ending Omos's push. But for having them lose to Bobby Lashley, I think Omos wins here. I think the reason why Bobby Lashley was chosen was, one, they needed somebody with a name for Omos to beat. And I think, two, this gives Bobby Lashley the chance to be on WrestleMania. So, after he hurt his shoulder. So I think, and you could really see it. You could see MVP turning on Lashley and being with Omos, can't you? I think Omos needs a mouthpiece. I think he needs someone to talk for the big giant. That was AJ Styles for the longest time. And Omos kind of has that Shaq thing to him, where Shaq his voice is so deep that sometimes and sometimes he doesn't enunciate. I have that problem too. He doesn't enunciate as well as maybe he can. So it kind of sounds like he's mumbling and right. So I think that's got to be, I think that could be a good. I think that's the way to go here, is that MVP turns on Bobby Lashley and turn Bobby Lashley's face. But I'm picking Omos here to continue his undefeated streak as a single wrestler. For the Raw Tag Team Championship, RK Bro takes on the Street Profits and Alpha Academy. There are many people who thinking that this, one of those teams, the Street Profits or the Alpha Academy, are going to win, leading to the RKO breakup, leading to a Randy Orton heel turn. I think they've gone this far with it that I don't think that's what they're going to wait for, because I would have expected it to already have happened. But they're doing so well right now. I think Randy Orton is loving what he's doing. And I think they're going to continue on. I don't think this breaks up until SummerSlam, actually, or just before SummerSlam, and then you get Riddle and Randy Orton at SummerSlam. And I don't even know if Randy Orton should turn heel, because right now Randy Orton gets the loudest pop out of anyone on Monday Night Raw. He just does. He's the most over he's probably ever been, and I think they keep it continued. I think Matt Riddle and Randy Orton retain the Raw Tag Team Championships. In a match that could steal the show on night 2, Austin Theory taking on Pat McAfee. We saw what Pat McAfee did against Adam Cole on one of the NXT takeovers during the pandemic, and he did a nice job, in 2020's War Games. So I think Matt McAfee's ready. He's been training his whole life for this. He is set to make a splash, and this could lead to him being a full-time, at least a sort of full-time wrestler. He does all his Pat McAfee shows and everything like that. So, And again, we talked about it just a few minutes ago with the celebrity angle, right? Celebrities seemingly always win these matches. So I know they love Austin Theory, and they can still love him. His push can still happen, continue after WrestleMania. I think he's the next in line to win the United States Championship from Finn Balor. But that being said, I think Pat McAfee beats Austin Theory in this match. So I'm choosing Pat McAfee to win. Anything goes. Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville. Again, we're talking about a celebrity match again, and you would think that Johnny Knoxville can win. But man, I think this one might be the one that they actually don't win, right? Although Sami Zayn threw out Johnny Knoxville at the Royal Rumble, so you would think that they would get this match here. So see, I don't know, because see, they really could do like this. I think Sami Zayn is on his way to doing something special as well. But well, you know what? I have to keep going with that. I chose the Miz and Logan Paul. I've chosen Pat McAfee. Gonna do another celebrity choosing. I'm gonna say Johnny Knoxville, because why would they choose anything goes? So they're just gonna do a lot of other stuff. I think the Jackass crew are gonna get involved. So Johnny Knoxville will beat Sami Zayn at WrestleMania. Didn't think I'd ever say those words, but yeah, I think it'll happen. The Fatal 4-Way Women's Tag Team Championship match. The champions, Carmella and Zelina Vega, defend against Naomi and Sasha Banks, Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, Natalya and Shayna Baszler. All of a sudden, we just had some tag teams, didn't we? It seemed like at one point, the only women's tag team we had was Carmella and Zelina Vega. But now Naomi and Sasha Banks, they've started, and they're going to do one. We got Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, and now Natalya and Shayna Baszler. I think this is just, again, to get all the women on the match. Instead of doing a women's battle royal, they now have a women's, tag team fatal 4-way match. So I think my things have not changed. I think they're going to put the titles on Naomi and Sasha Banks. I really do. I think that's just probably the way to go. And I think Carmella and Zelina Vega are going to break up at some point with their match, and I mean, like then I think Rhea Ripley's going to, she's going to go ahead into herself in the Raw Women's division, and I think the other things like that. So yeah, Natalya and Baszler out there just as good hands. So I think the winners of this match, the new women's tag team champions, are Naomi and Sasha Banks. And the main event, the winner-take-all unification match. Universal Champion Roman Reigns versus WWE Champion Brock Lesnar. I think this ends it all, right? This ends it all. Just talking about a trilogy of Mania matches that doesn't rival The Rock and Austin, but I think could, depending on how this one goes. The one at 31 was very good, and then they did a twist of fate, and the heist of the century happened with Seth Rollins. The one at 34 was okay, but the crowd shitting on it was awful, and I think it made it worse than it seemed. And also doing the fact that they had Brock Lesnar beat Roman Reigns, which was just insane. So we have that, and now we have this. And I think we've got a totally different dynamic. We've got a babyface Brock Lesnar who is doing some of his best work that he's done in ages. And he was so good on the mic for the longest time. The last couple of weeks have been kind of iffy, but yeah, he's been awesome. And then Roman Reigns he's in God mode. Greatness on a different level. He's God mode right now, and no one can beat him, and no one should beat him. Again, I would say this: no one should beat him I'm going to say up until the Royal Rumble before Mania of next year, when I think that what causes him to snap on The Rock, because maybe The Rock is there, and when why didn't he ask for help or anything like that, whatever. but we could, lead to that being the match at WrestleMania if it happens. It's still it's not cemented yet. It's the reports. It hasn't been cemented. That's what they have. They have put it in pencil, I guess you could say. But things happen with The Rock, and we all know what things could happen. So you don't know. And as at the earliest, at the latest, it's WrestleMania 40 when Braun Breaker beats him. Now the dichotomy here is just that it's a winner take all unification match. Now, the unification match means that you unify both titles, you become one title. When Roderick Strong and Carmelo Hayes had a unification match, he didn't become the North American and Cruiserweight champion. He became it was just the North American champion. And I would think that that's what you are here. You don't become the Universal and WWE champion. You just become the WWE Universal Heavyweight Champion of the world, or however you want it to be. But it doesn't seem like that, because reports were that it's still going to be two titles. And, they're going to be walking around like when Daniel Bryan and John Cena was when they were the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, walking around with two titles. I don't think that should be the case. So we'll have to wait and see what happens from there. The Madison Square Garden angle where Brock Lesnar got busted open, and they've been, he's been talking about wanting to get Roman's blood. Roman talked about that this past SmackDown, where he got his blood. He got his blood at 34 with two elbows. Elbows, to the head, and that's why he was bleeding so much. I think everybody was wondering, how did that much blood come from the head? But he opened two cuts with his elbow. And that's how that blood happened. Remember when he did it with Cena and did it with Orton? It was just one cut. And Cena's was kind of iffy, but it was Orton's was, Orton's was kind of bad, and just, of course we had what was with things. So I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know if they're going to do that again, and and they're gonna bust each other open with elbows to the head. I don't know if they're gonna do that. I don't know if they're going to, as WWE said, self-mutilation, which I don't want to see that, because one, that makes them hypocrites, and you can't be a hypocrite. And two, yeah, I mean, really, it's, I don't know. I would rather not see that at this point. I do think there are ways to get color without doing that, as in I fully I have to admit to myself that even though I am one that says that I'm okay with there not being color, I also have to understand that the blood does add to the match. It can add to a match, and it can benefit. It can be part of a story to help the story roll along when and make the match feel more important. Or make it feel something more meaningful. When Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa did it during their pandemic match, their lights out match, yeah, it felt different, especially the fact of Britt Baker and her and the fact that she did. When the girls did it on the Rampage, Ali and Tay Conti did it again. That was like they did that just to do it. They just want that they were in a street fight, so they just had to, and they don't have to. It's a street fight. You don't have to bleed in a street fight. I think that's one of the things that I think AEW could do better. Tony Khan comes from that watching of that old NWA WCW stuff where that's what happened. Where if you were in a steel cage, if you were in a street fight, you bled. Well, I don't think that necessarily needs to be the case. And I think WWE has proven that. And and it can be overdone. Again, the steel cage match, the Thunder Rosa won her She beat Britt Baker. It didn't need blood. It didn't need chairs. It didn't need thumbtacks. It didn't need tables. They could have told a great story. Thunder Rosa winning the title in their hometown in a steel cage. It didn't need all of that. And this match doesn't need all of that. It has the greatest star right now in the entire wrestling business, not just WWE, entire wrestling business, Roman Reigns against one of the all-time greats in Brock Lesnar. They don't need to bleed. They don't need no DQ match. It doesn't need. It could have been okay with a Hell in a Cell. I would have been okay with that, but it doesn't need all of that. It just needs Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar to go out there and beat the hell out of each other for 25 minutes, 30 minutes. And for Roman Reigns to walk away as the undisputed WWE Universal Heavyweight Champion of the world. And that's what I'm predicting is going to happen. Roman Reigns will become the new, unified, undisputed, Universal WWE Champion. Why? And we all will have to acknowledge him afterwards. Alright, now, so to recap, NXT Stand and Deliver. Gunther will beat LA Knight. Honey D'Angelo will end Tommaso Ciampa's reign in NXT. Toxic Attraction of Gigi Dolan and Jacy Jayne will retain the Women's Tag Team Champions. Imperium will retain the NXT titles, Tag Team titles. Grayson Waller will become your new North American Champion. Cora Jade will become your new Women's NXT Champion. And Braun Breaker will become your new NXT Heavyweight Champion of the world. WrestleMania, Night 1. The New Day will get their revenge over Sheamus and Ridge Holland. To be announced will beat Seth Rollins. Drew McIntyre will end the undefeated streak of Happy Corbin. Edge, this newly demented Edge, will take out AJ Styles. The Miz and Logan Paul will beat the Mysterios. The Usos will retain their SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Bianca Belair will become your new Raw Women's Champion. And Ronda Rousey will tap out Charlotte Flair and become your new SmackDown Women's Champion. And for WrestleMania Sunday, Omos will take out Bobby Lashley. RK Bro will retain the Raw Tag Team titles. Pat McAfee will take care of Austin Theory. Johnny Knoxville will get by Sami Zayn in an Anything Goes match. Naomi and Sasha Banks will become your new Women's Tag Team titles champions. And Roman Reigns and the winner take all unification match, the biggest WrestleMania match of all time, will become your new unified, undisputed WWE and Universal Heavyweight Champion of the world. Those are my predictions for this weekend in wrestling in the WWE. And wow, this is going to be great. It starts again this Saturday at 1 Eastern, 12 Central, I believe, with the with NXT Stand and Deliver. Afterwards, I'm going to have a reaction to that. Then around 7 Eastern, 6 Central, or maybe it's 8. Who knows? We have WrestleMania Saturday. After that, a reaction to WrestleMania Saturday right here on the channel. And then, of course, WrestleMania Sunday. After that, again, another reaction to that on the channel. So make sure you click the notification bell so that when I go live, we can talk about what went down on NXT Stand and Deliver, WrestleMania Saturday, and on WrestleMania Sunday. This is one of the best times of the year, one of the great events of the year in sports, and I cannot wait for it. Just one day away. Tonight's SmackDown should be pretty epic too, and then of course afterwards the Hall of Fame, The Undertaker, Vader, Shad Gaspard, the Steiner brothers, and maybe someone else that I'm missing, being inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's going to be really great. Tonight starts a great weekend in wrestling. I hope everybody enjoys it. If you are down in Dallas, I hope you have a great time watching all of the stuff live. And if you are at home, I hope you enjoy this great stuff from the WWE. Post your comments down below. Tell me what you guys think Give me your thoughts on my predictions. Give me your predictions, whatever. If you have done a predictions video, link it down there in the comment section as well, so me and everybody else can go see it and watch it. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is your boy AJTRIP signing off. As always, be good to each other, y'all. Be careful out there. And I am out.